Welcome to another video of DevOps Lab, and today we'll be discussing how to test Ansible roles with Docker. For this, we'll be using Molecule. It's a project that allows us to test Ansible on multiple virtualization platforms, including Docker and Vagrant. So let's go ahead and set up our initial environment. I've chosen an Ansible repository that I had, which is not very complex. It has a few playbooks and has two major roles, Common and Tomcat. The Common role has basic tasks that that are used to install packages and some users. And then we have the Tomcat role, which installs the Tomcat service based on the OS distribution. Now, what we're going to do is first set up our Python virtual environment, and so that we can install Molecule in it. I'm just going to create the virtual environment using Python 3, and I'm going to name it dlabs_problem1. Now, as you can see, it will start creating the virtual environment, and now I'm going to install Molecule with the Docker driver. And as you can see, it's installing quite a bit of Python packages. I'll let it finish and then run pip freeze. Okay, pip freeze. Yeah, and as you can see, there's quite a number of packages, but with these installed, our installation is complete and on to the next step. Now first, I'm going to navigate to the common role and now initialize a scenario with Molecule. Now this will create all the boilerplate code and the Molecule folder, which will contain the molecule.yaml, which has our Docker, linting, and verifier, and the playbook.yaml, which will be used to run the tests. The test folder, it contains all the Python tests with some default tests added. Now since I'm going to be using Amazon Linux, I'll just change the Docker to be the latest Amazon Linux instead of CentOS. Now I will run the test with Molecule, and this executes all the default commands: linting, cleanup, converge, etc., and which of course we can modify. And then the playbook executes with the roles. As you can see, all the different tasks are being executed, and now that it's done, it should execute the Python tests, which are done, and nothing has failed. I'll just run converge to just run the playbook and not run everything else. And this is much faster than running test. Now if I check my dockers, you will see that the Molecule has not destroyed the container, which I can log into with Molecule login, and this is great for debugging purposes. Now let's write some tests beyond the default ones. If I check the default test, they just run some basic commands. Let me see what they have in packages. So we have this list of 9 packages that Common is installing. So let's test for them. Now the code that I'm about to paste, it takes the 9 packages that are to be installed and checks whether they're installed or not. Now let's just run verify, since that will run only the tests, and we already have the Docker container, and now it's running on 9 items, and voila, everything's good. Now let's just add nginx, a random package, and it adds, and it failed because, well, it was running on 10 items and one of them did not exist. I set a Molecule in the Tomcat role and basically wrote a test to check if the Molecule Tomcat was running. However, when I ran the playbook, it failed to execute since it couldn't find the Tomcat service. Now this is because we're using a basic Amazon Linux image, which, like other base images, is not service enabled. Jeff Geerling maintains great service enabled Docker images, so I will use that one instead. Now before I start, I'll have to destroy the old container, and now that that's done, I'll just do Molecule create to create the new Docker container based on Geerling's image. And now I'll just run Molecule converge to rerun the playbook. Now, as you can see, it's executing the tasks, and this could take some time. And voila, everything's working. The playbook ran without a hitch. Now let me just run verify to check everything's working. The Python test ran and it passed. I noticed that the playbook was using a custom user, EC2-user, for connecting to the machine, which I did not have in my molecule playbook. So let me just add that remote user, EC2-user, and let me run converge. Unsurprisingly, it failed. Now that's because it can't find the EC2 user. Now let me just create the prepare.yaml. Now I can use that to create the EC2 user, prepare.yaml, and let me paste the code. This code basically adds the user and adds them to the right sudoers group. Now let me run converge, and the task seems to be executing. Now all of this code that I'm adding and I've shown you will be available in the public Git repo that I'll link in the description down below. The task seems to be carrying on. It seems that it is able to connect and run the user. Let's run verify now that it's completed, and the test passed. This Ansible repo actually has monolithic playbooks which run more than one role at a time. Now molecule by default, and the way I've shown you, runs the test per role, and this does not allow me to actually test what I'm going to run in production, the real playbook. Now when I went to the molecule website, it gave instructions on how to do that, but they were very inefficient since they want us to create a separate role which tests the different roles altogether. To keep it clean, I decided to have a molecule folder in the base directory, and which has, well, basically two folders in it. Let me just do a tree for this. Now as you can see, the default folder has the prepare.yaml and the YAML lint, while the production folder has the playbooks, the tests, and the different molecule.yaml that you require and to run the test. Now if you look at in the molecule.yaml, you see that the config file yaml.lint points to the default. Now, as well as the prepare.yaml, the groups and the roles point to the Ansible roles. Most importantly, the scenario name, production playbook. This is something that we're going to use as arguments to run molecule. Now, my playbook.yaml is a copy of the production playbook with both the common and the Tomcat role. So let me just run converge, and with the scenario name that we set as an argument. So scenario name would be production playbook, and it started running. Now the common tasks are done and it has started running the Tomcat tasks. So now let's run verify with the same argument. Scenario name is equal to production playbook, and run with the 10 items, and the tests have passed. The test checked both the package installation as well as the Tomcat service is running. Thank you for watching another video of DevOps Lab. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, this is your host signing off.